The midday sun hung softly over the quiet cemetery, casting warm light across rows of polished stone. Birds chirped distantly, and a gentle breeze moved the flowers left behind by grieving families. But among the silence, one sound broke through, a trembling, raw sob. Near an old oak tree, a thin young woman, her clothes worn and faded, clutched a simple grave as if it were the last thing holding her to the earth. Her shoulders shook with grief so heavy it felt like the world itself might collapse around her. A few steps away stood a tall, well-dressed man, gray suit, expensive watch, eyes sharp but softened with sorrow. He froze, stunned, because the grave she cried over was one he knew too well. A voice slipped out of him before he could stop it. "That's my wife's grave. What's your story?" Backhand index pointing right. If you believe in kindness, healing, and second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to RW Insights. Your support keeps these stories alive. The young woman, whose name was Arisha, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, embarrassed as she tried to stand. She looked fragile, exhausted, and painfully alone, as though life had left her fighting battles no one saw. She stepped back from the grave and whispered an apology. The man, whose name was Zaher Marston, a quiet but powerful millionaire with a reputation for being distant, didn't move. His eyes were fixed on her face, on the grief that mirrored his own. It had been 6 years since his wife, Helena, passed away. 6 years of visiting this grave alone, until today. Arisha hesitated, unsure whether she should speak, but something about the calm in Zaher's expression invited honesty. She lowered her gaze to the grave again and said she used to work as a cleaner at the hospital where Helena was once admitted. She had met her only once, during a night shift, when Arisha had been struggling silently with hunger and fear after being thrown out of her guardian's home. Helena had seen her tears even when Arisha had tried to hide them. She had offered her food, warmth, and words of comfort that had stayed carved in her heart long after that night. Arisha explained how nobody had shown her such kindness before or after that moment. She had come today because she heard from an old nurse that Helena had passed away and she wanted to thank her, even if the thank you came years late. Zaher listened quietly, his heart twisting because his wife had always been that way, gentle, giving, compassionate even when her own health was declining. He watched Arisha closely now, her trembling hands, her malnourished shape, her eyes that looked older than her years. He asked gently why she seemed so lost, so fragile. That innocent question was all it took for the dam inside her to break. She told him she had been homeless for weeks, struggling to survive on the little she earned doing random house cleaning jobs. Her life had been falling apart ever since her aunt, the only family she had after her parents died, had passed away. She had no one, nowhere to go, and no hope left. She cried because Helena's kindness was something she had lived on during her darkest days, and now she felt like even that memory was slipping away. Zaher felt something stir in him, something he hadn't felt since Helena died. A quiet, aching sense of purpose. He felt Helena's spirit in this moment, as though she were guiding his choices. His wife had always urged him to help more, to open his heart instead of burying himself in work and wealth. Zaher took a slow breath and extended his hand to Arisha, offering to buy her lunch. "Not charity," he said, "just two people remembering someone who changed their lives in different ways." Arisha hesitated out of fear, pride, and uncertainty, but then nodded softly. They walked to a nearby park cafe where daylight glimmered through the trees, warming the air around them. Over a simple meal, Zaher listened as Arisha shared pieces of her life, each word exposing more of her resilience and pain. She wasn't uneducated or incapable, she had dreams of studying nursing, of helping people the way Helena once helped her, but poverty had pushed her into survival mode. Zaher saw in her a reflection of the very people Helena wanted him to support, and a decision began forming silently in his mind. As days passed, Zaher invited her to the company office, clean, bright, structured, the opposite of her unstable world. He offered her a job as an assistant in one of the departments, not because he pitied her, but because he saw her discipline and honesty. At first, Arisha resisted. She wasn't used to kindness. But Zaher reassured her that sometimes life gives us a second chance, and taking it isn't weakness, it's courage. With time, Arisha adapted. She learned quickly, greeted the staff with humble warmth, and worked with a dedication that surprised everyone. Slowly, her life shifted. She rented a small room, bought proper clothes, started saving money, and began dreaming again. Zaher often noticed Helena's picture on his office desk and felt that maybe, just maybe, she was smiling from somewhere above, proud of the difference her memory had made. Months later, on a bright sunny afternoon, Zaher and Arisha returned to Helena's grave together. Flowers in hand, they stood side by side, not as broken souls anymore, but as two lives connected by kindness. Arisha placed the flowers gently and whispered her gratitude. Zaher looked at the sky and whispered his own, thanking Helena for sending someone who reminded him how to live again. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share. And don't forget to subscribe to RW Insights for more emotional and inspiring stories. Speech balloon special request, comment, kindness lives forever. If you believe kindness can change someone's entire life. The cemetery felt lighter now, the sun brighter, the breeze warmer. Two lives had crossed paths through grief, but what emerged was hope, a powerful reminder that kindness doesn't end at the grave. It continues in every heart it touches.